Have you struggled with depression at times throughout your life? Do you know what has caused your depression? Let's talk about that now. Automass Photo. Hi everyone, my name is Automass Photo and I am a motivator and coach to help you get to the root of any problem you have, face it, and overcome it. The information I'd like to share with you today is about the causes of depression. If you feel depressed and just don't understand why, or maybe you consider yourself hypersensitive or even an outcast, the information I am about to present can give you some insight into the obstacle you are currently facing so you can work on yourself and overcome it. What causes someone's depression is always unique to that individual. So we must take an individualized approach, which unfortunately Western medicine tends to lack. When we compare the treatment for mental and physical health issues in various countries, we find astonishing differences. What may be considered a normal health practice in China, for instance, may very well be labeled as pseudoscience in the United States. In the United States, a condition is traditionally addressed as being purely a physical problem. Depression is complex and encompasses our physical, mental, and spiritual well-being. It is not strictly one of these alone, but a combination of all of them together. So treating depression has to involve all these aspects in order for the person to be able to heal. Depression is the core cause of many other disorders. In fact, most other conditions such as eating disorders, chronic fatigue, and also anxiety can all stem from depression. But what causes depression? I will discuss many of the physical, mental, and spiritual causes of depression, which can help you piece together the puzzle of how all three impact one another. Depression is often described as an unhappy state where the individual loses interest in life and activities, often has a persistent lack of energy, and feelings of guilt and inadequacy. One of the physical causes can be chronic lack of sleep. When we don't get the rest our body needs, we become unhealthy and our mental stability will begin to deteriorate. The same risk applies to vitamin and mineral deficiencies as well as dehydration. Due to the generally unhealthy Western diet where foods are devoid of vital nutrients, we often have deficiencies of key vitamins such as vitamin D and vitamin B12 that impact our mental well-being. Furthermore, some people have an especially difficult time absorbing nutrients from their meals and require long-term vitamin and mineral supplementation. These factors contribute to deficiencies that can impact our mental health. Relatedly, a diet of junk food, sugar, trans fats, and gluten, along with various food allergies and sensitivities, can lead to episodes of depression. Simply speaking, much of our immune system and mental well-being starts in our gut. People who habitually eat foods that lead to inflammation in the body are directly causing their own deteriorated physical and mental state. When our body cannot function properly, neither can our brain. Furthermore, when we eat foods that we are allergic to, even if it's a minor allergy that may go unnoticed, that will cause inflammation in the gut and the body, which is directly linked to symptoms of depression. There are chemicals in the food and water supplies such as pesticides and pharmaceutical medications that are also directly linked to symptoms of depression. Antidepressants are found in our drinking water, even in minute amounts, and these can cause depression in humans by functioning as endocrine disruptors. Furthermore, antidepressants can easily use up the body's reserve of key vitamins and minerals, and even lower their absorption rates. The last physical cause of depression is alcohol, which is in itself classified as a depressant, along with other drugs. Drugs are used for different purposes, but the most common and damaging one is escapism. Many people use drugs to escape reality and numb emotional pain. This in itself causes repressed emotions, which only makes depression worse. Being under the influence of these drugs is fun for many people because they are burying their pain and not addressing it. Same goes for any addiction. Escaping and distracting are two different things. Using a positive distraction can be an excellent coping mechanism, but escapism and denial will make an unpleasant situation even worse. The mental causes of depression can be situational, related to recent events, and is often short-term, but could develop into long-term chronic depression or major depression if no proper coping mechanisms are employed, or if the person is unable to get out of the environment or situation causing the depression and or dwells on the sadness. Short-term depression often happens during adulthood, while long-term depression begins in childhood. Some causes of situational depression are the loss of a friend, spouse, family member, pet, or someone or something else close to the person. This can be the loss of someone, either moving away or passing away. Other causes can involve marital problems, stress in the family or with friends, lack of communication, and stress at the workplace, in school, and at home. Situational depression can lead to destructive coping mechanisms that can turn into long-term depression if not treated accordingly. Long-term depression and anxiety both stem from deep-rooted problems, generally developed during childhood by traumatic experiences such as physical, emotional, and/or sexual abuse. Those who were routinely abused and neglected as children may not develop any mental conditions at all, yet others do. Why is that? It's the mental internalization of the abuse that causes depression, anxiety, and other mental health conditions in the adult. Our inability to let go, forgive, and move on is what holds us back. This inability changes our personality, our brain chemistry, our outlook on life, and what we attract into our life. It's not as simple as just change your outlook on life or just cheer up. We have to work our way back in time to get to the root cause of the depression, tackle that, and reprogram our brain and thought patterns if we truly want to overcome the depression we experience now. The spiritual causes of depression include energy sensitivity, such as receptivity to spirits, psychic abilities, absorbing others' emotions, and imbalanced chakras, just to name a few. If we are surrounded by negative energy, sometimes from other people or from non-physical entities, we can absorb that energy and it influences us. This is especially prevalent among those of us who are empaths. If there are negative spirits in our environment, that can have an impact on our mental well-being. I myself have witnessed this firsthand, but then again, I am an empath and can easily pick up on others' emotions. If I'm around someone who is depressed, I too feel that sadness and despair. You too may experience depression in this way. If so, it's incredibly important to cleanse yourself and find ways of channeling that negative energy out of yourself. You may be wondering, what about genetics and the chemical imbalance theory? I thought they were the causes of depression. While genetics do play a role in many of our personal traits, overall, genetics has little to do with depression. We are not our genes and can change how something impacts us. Furthermore, a chemical imbalance is not the root cause of depression. It is assumed as such to justify the prescription and use of psychiatric medications. The chemical imbalance theory has never been scientifically proven, but people still believe it because the pharmaceutical industry continues to project this idea that depression is caused by a chemical imbalance. Here in the United States, we see advertisements all the time on television about antidepressants and other drugs that should be taken along with antidepressants to boost their effect. The United States is one of the only countries that allows direct-to-consumer advertising of pharmaceutical drugs. I believe this has conditioned people into thinking that they need drugs to be healthy, and that drugs are the first and likely only answer to dealing with any sort of health issue. This is simply untrue. Many other developed countries around the world treat the same health issues a different way, and they have a much higher success rate than we do here in the United States. Our country has become the most dependent on pharmaceutical drugs, with the most unhealthy citizens as a result. As some of you who have been following me for a while may already know, I am someone who has greatly struggled with depression, anxiety, and even suicidal thoughts. While I personally am strongly against the use of psychiatric medication or any synthetic medication for that matter, I believe that it does have a purpose, which I will talk about in my next video. It isn't my place to tell you if you should or shouldn't be taking medication for your depression. The option is entirely up to you, but do keep in mind that psychiatric medication alone will not get to the root of the problem. It tends to be stigmatizing to those with mental disorders because it will prevent or delay them from addressing the root cause of the illness. That which makes you happy is not necessarily what makes your friend or family happy. We tend to think that being rich and famous will make us happy. You may have a nice house, car, loads of money, a beautiful family, and yet dread each day and have feelings of depression. Likewise, you might be homeless, struggling to make it through another day, and still be happy and grateful for every moment you have. Happiness has nothing to do with how much or how little we own or possess. Happiness can only come from within. We can truly be happy by living each day to the fullest, by feeling connected to others in the world, and by being thankful for everything we have and everything that happens in our life, both positive and negative. Thank you for sharing and supporting this information and for making a difference in the world. Your input is valuable, so if you have any other questions or comments, please make your voice heard. By working towards a common goal together, we can accomplish so much more. Sign up for my free email newsletter to receive my free ebook, and a big thank you to all my supporters. Have a wonderful day. Thank you for watching my video. If you would like more content, please feel free to subscribe.